And we are on. Hello and welcome to Sports Unhinged. My name is Mohamed, and we are coming to you with the Super Bowl preview, coming at you at your podcast apps and YouTube and Facebook. Mark Sherman, welcome back to the podcast. Coach, good to have you here as always.
Thank you very much.
Mark, you're visiting us all the way from Canada.
Yeah.
From the cold weather of Canada. How cold is it in...
Minus 51 where I am.
Wow.
So that's pretty cool.
Wow.
So we wear plenty of warm jackets and hoods. And
I'm surprised you're not in your swimming shorts right now.
Yeah, it was plus 31 today for me, but...
I've been walking around in shorts and T-shirt and not telling them back there what I'm doing, so it's best that way.
Go Bears.
Go Bears.
Go Bears.
Go Bears.
All right, so we've got the Super Bowl coming. I mean, we tried to make it interesting throughout the year, talking about which teams we think are going to reach the Super Bowl. Tom Brady is not the same quarterback he was. The Patriots are the most vulnerable they've ever been. We've tried to put a spin on this, and yet we have the Patriots back in the Super Bowl. How do you guys feel about that?
You know, after the fake Mexico City game, anointing the Rams, possibly the Chiefs, and then the Patriots beating the Chiefs, Brady's back, whatever, and then losing to Pittsburgh, and then a couple more,
right.
And yet, here we are.
It's funny, this year in the Super Bowl, there isn't really kind of like an overarching storyline between the two teams. All the controversy kind of came in the championship games. Right now, I think...
Only in one game, really.
Or in one game, yeah. And what people are just talking about right now is probably is Gronk going to retire? You know, what kind of game are we expecting? And is it going to be a shootout in the Super Bowl? So even if you notice from opening day in the media days, everybody was pretty much relaxed. I don't think I've ever seen Tom Brady this relaxed, this calm. We even got to see more smiles from Belichick than we've seen, I think, in the last 3 Super Bowl media days combined.
But, you know, Brady's been like that all year. If you remember at the beginning of the year, he did a video.
Yeah.
Because people were saying he walked under a ladder or something stupid and he was going to bring bad luck. And he actually did a satire of himself.
Yeah.
And he actually did a video of him walking under a ladder.
Right.
He said, Pats fans, it's all good, it's all good, it's all fine. And in a way, they've been under the radar. They've lost a few stupid games. What were they?
Yeah.
11-5 this year.
But that's the thing. That's what made them look kind of more vulnerable than
but they only start playing
always.
in January.
Yeah, but you can't count Miami. That's a fluke.
Yeah, they lost to Miami.
You can't count that one.
Right.
You just can't. You
Yeah.
can't count the down from...
And Detroit.
Was it Detroit? Yeah. They got out-schemed, but remember I said on this podcast, I said, I think they may have taken the week off.
But they had an insider coaching the opposing team, right? So it was kind of like if it was going to happen, it would happen on that week,
Wasn't
right?
it Tennessee or Jacksonville or somewhere?
Tennessee the same.
Yeah, where they just didn't turn up.
Yeah.
But they
meh?
always do enough to win their division.
Yeah.
They never put themselves out. Now they're putting themselves out. Last week in Kansas, we saw the true Pats.
Yeah.
How about the week before in San Diego?
Absolutely.
Whoa.
Yeah. So
that may have been the most complete game he's played maybe 2 years.
No, I think the San Diego game was, I think, the most shocking for me because I had them going all the way to the Super Bowl. It was the most balanced team, and it wasn't just a normal game. It was a blowout. They exposed them on offense, on defense, and I felt stupid afterwards because I was always saying, even from last year, the Chargers are one of those teams. I'll believe it when I see them in the Super Bowl. And then I finally gave up, and I jumped on the hype train. I'm like, all right, this is Phillip Rivers' year. Tom Brady dismantled that defense, and it doesn't go without a bit of luck as well. There's always, some luck involved in these games, especially in the Kansas City game. If D4 does not line up, offside, there's a lot of aspect, but that's what I say about luck. You have to put yourself in the position to be lucky, and New England do it all the time.
Exactly, it's all the time, so it can't be luck. It's the pressure that they're putting on the opposition.
Yeah.
Guys are lining up, and they feel the pressure that they don't feel in other games.
Right.
They're playing against New England, and suddenly they make mistakes that they never, ever make anywhere else.
And New England functions and practices in the pressure because they've done it for so long.
Yeah.
They've had that core group so long. But don't take anything away from the Rams either. No. They had their slump coming in.
Yeah.
They lost their games coming in. They had their doubters coming in. And then all of a sudden, the playoff switch clicks, and they've done their business.
One thing nobody's talking about, or it kind of got lost in the hype because the Rams made it to the Super Bowl, was how ineffective Todd Gurley was in the NFC Championship game.
He was
He's supposed to be their best player on offense. He had only 5 plays, got benched. There was no explanation whatsoever.
But it wasn't.
There's nothing wrong with him.
But let's go back and look at, again, the coaching look at it. From the coaching look at it, they didn't abandon how they rushed the football or run the football.
C.J. Anderson was more
and the
effective.
hot hand
Yeah.
is the guy Anderson, and he's the hot hand. What do? You run the hot hand. You don't change how you run the ball.
Right.
You don't change how you have your line check off to run the football.
Yeah.
Right? He just happened, and maybe it's because he's more fresh because he didn't come until November.
No, but the thing is, Todd Gurley had a lot of time off, right, because of his injury.
Yeah.
So this is something that when you talk about clutch players, it applies more in, like basketball or whatever, but you need your star players to perform when the pressure is the highest, in the playoff games, in the championship games. And I think Todd Gurley's stock probably took a hit, or should have taken more of a hit than it has, because of the fact that he disappeared in the game when there was absolutely nothing wrong with him.
Well, but Anderson didn't. So if I'll flip that,
Yeah.
whose stock stayed the same? The offensive line. They ran the ball the same, still the same pulling guards, still the same counter trays.
Yeah.
That rushing of the football didn't change.
Yeah.
The guy they put back there grabbing the ball changed.
Right.
Yeah.
Scheme was the same.
Yeah. So don't discount how that line came together.
Right.
After there are a few things, it just so happened that Gurley's number on the jersey didn't have the ball in his hand.
Yeah.
Now, that McVay.
I give McVay a lot of credit for that, because this is kind of a veteran move,
Veteran move.
You don't go for your star player, you go with
Yeah.
the hot hand. So it kind of shows, and this Super Bowl, like, how old is Bill Belichick? 66?
Yep.
And
31.
McVay is half. No,
Is
he's
33. He just
33?
turned 33.
Yeah.
Now, I wanted to say that my predictions have been really bad. I wanted to attribute my bad predictions this year to my age, the fact that but then Sean McVay is a few months older than I am, so I can't even say that. The guy's coaching an NFL team and he's in the Super Bowl.
You imagine, at 33 years old, he could be a Super Bowl winner in a few days' time.
Yeah. And
Where does he go from here?
Regardless whether he wins or not, I think 20, 25 years from now, we're going to be talking about Sean McVay challenging Bill Belichick's legacy.
If he wants to.
I really
Maybe.
feel that.
I just think that the pressure in the modern game,
Yeah.
Much different.
yeah, and to do what Belichick has done, I'm not sure we'll ever see it again. McVay's there in terms of raw ability, but longevity, I just don't
And
know.
ownership nowadays is so different than it is with the Kraft family.
Yeah.
They pulled the
Right.
trigger so much faster. I mean, look at Arizona. They did it in 1 year.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. It's the flavor of the month in the NFL, and sometimes that's 1, sometimes that's 3 years. Look at all the new hires of head coaches.
Yeah.
As the flavor of the thing. Who's connected to McVay,
Yeah.
and that's who gets hired.
I think
Yeah.
the one thing that McVay might have an easier time preparing for is that the Patriots, they kind of tell you what they're going to do, and they do it well.
And they still do it.
And they still do it.
So,
Exactly.
for example, when it comes to the running game, like 90% of the plays where they've had Sony Michel on the field, they ran the ball. They kind of, whereas the Rams, they line up in pretty much the same formation every time, and you have to be ready for anything. They have to be ready for the run, you have to be ready for the pass. So I think it's going to be interesting from a coaching perspective. And I'm less interested in the Sean McVay versus Bill Belichick storyline. I'm more interested in the Josh McDaniels versus Wade Phillips kind of matchup.
Yeah, that's the
because
opposite
that's
side.
Yeah, because
Right.
I'll be very interested in
So
seeing
Wade
how
Phillips
that goes.
scheming versus Tom Brady,
Yeah.
because the other side, and we'll talk. Maybe we'll talk later, but Goff has shown to be rattled on occasion from good defensive coordinators this year.
Yeah.
And Brady, to his credit, he's been a little rattled by good defensive coordinators
Right.
this year.
And another player that nobody's talking about, especially when it comes to the running game, is James Devlin, the fullback for the New England Patriots, because he has been incredible in blocking, in creating the path for Sony Michel. they've averaged in their last 4 games 180 yards rushing on the ground. So and you talk about Todd Gurley, you talk about Ezekiel Elliott, you talk about all these star running backs. No one's ever talked about the New England running game, yet they do it so effectively, and it is an integral part of them winning.
And they're one of the few teams left that runs the true fullback.
Yeah. And one statistic we were talking about before we started is their O-line. The cap hit on that O-line is $15 million.
Is that including left tackle or without left tackle?
Without the left tackle. So they've got a bunch of, they've got a third, a fourth, a fifth, and a seventh rounder who are all on very small.
It's coaching.
It's just
the whole thing.
Yeah, that
coaching.
offensive line coach, Skarnecchia, is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah. Been doing it how long?
So they've got 4 guys on O-line, and they are basically all of them are equal from a cap hit perspective to Russell Okung. That's it. Incredible. I mean, it's unbelievable. So it will be interesting to see, because the Rams are going to know that New England are going to run the ball. So when it comes to Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh, I don't think they're going to go for the big plays. I don't think they're going to try to, get to Tom Brady, cause the fumble, because they know that all they need to do to really kind of take away that part of New England's game is stay in their lane and stop the running game. So I think that's going to probably be a priority.
What did Philadelphia do last year? They really hung back a little bit, but then they made the big plays on Brady when they needed to.
Yeah.
Last play of the game, effectively.
Near the end, yeah.
And I just thought Philadelphia coached a great game last year.
Right.
And that's why they won. But...
and Phillips has got the experience to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He may be one of the most underrated people of the Super Bowl coming up.
There's been a lot of talk about what he'll come up with and how creative he'll be. Yeah, I mean, he might be underrated, but I'll tell you one person who's not underrating him is Bill Belichick. I think they're trying to come up with schemes. I don't know how it's going to look like. Maybe they've been selling the run game in their formations throughout the playoffs, and they're going to disguise it with something else in the Super Bowl.
So do we want to get into the Super Bowl now, or you want to get into how they got there?
Let's talk about how they got there.
Well, I think what's been lost in the narrative the last couple of weeks is how good New England were in Kansas.
Yeah.
I just thought they played a really good
for
game.
3.5 quarters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if not for that Brady interception right before half.
Right.
In the end zone, I think. You're looking at 21 not going in. I don't think Kansas City would have given up, and I don't think Mahomes wouldn't still sling it around the yard. But 21 behind's a whole lot different than 14.
Yeah, and I think just the penalties at the end kind of killed Kansas. There were a lot of, mistakes that shouldn't have been made. But that's what New England does. Exactly. They get these breaks in their way.
You got to think about.
They put them under pressure.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Kansas City knows how to. New England knows how to function under that type pressure. Kansas City, it's not their first run in.
Yeah.
But maybe it's their first run in with that kind of dynamic to match. Yeah. And so knowing you have that dynamic, and I come back to the offsides, where Ford, he's eager, he's twitching, he's ready, he's going.
Yeah.
Go. Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm offside.
But that's the kind of pressure New England put under the opposition, and that's why they are what they are. It's all part of it. It's not just the guys on the field. It's the psychological effect that they seem to have on the opposition.
And they practice it from August. Not all teams practice it from August.
Yeah. And I feel like New England, when it comes to these kind of games that are shootouts, they are very well coached and well prepared for such games. And what makes the Super Bowl interesting is so are the Rams as well. If you look in playoff games, including Super Bowls, in the last 3 years, New England have averaged 34 points and 471 yards.
Incredible.
Just a quick side bit. Do you think that the overtime rules need to change to give Mahomes a chance?
Yes.
I believe so. I don't think...
Okay, then do you think the NFL will change them?
No.
No, I don't either.
No. But they should. I just think,
See, there are things where I think the NFL should change, and this is one of them. I don't think they should do anything about some people are talking about making every play reviewable. We'll talk about the NFC Championship game in a bit. But, yeah, the fact that you're talented enough to call heads or tails decides whether you win the game or not, I don't think is...
That's just not right.
The fans want to see Mahomes have a chance to match Brady.
Yeah.
Brady did his thing, took him down,
Right.
touchdown, but the fans want to see the kid come back and have an opportunity to respond. Do or don't, then we come back to what New England does to put pressure on them or doesn't do.
Yeah.
And you give him the opportunity.
But
and
you know one of the main
on the
reasons,
sideline, never touches the pigskin. Never.
You know one of the main reasons why the NFL won't make that change. It's simple. It's the television, right?
Yeah.
You've got the games, the primetime games coming on after.
They don't want 4-hour games.
They don't want 4-hour games. We've seen what's happening with baseball. It's been declining.
Look at college football. My team from my university played the longest game in the history of NCAA football.
How long was
72 to 71 was the ending score.
Goodness gracious.
5 hours and 23 minutes.
Wow.
The NFL doesn't want that.
No, but then-
CBS doesn't want
Then
that.
that comes into reviewable plays then.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe.
You know, because really 3 hours seems to be the top. They don't really want it to go much more than that. And if you start making plays reviewable,
Right.
more plays reviewable, it's just going to make it into 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
And people are going to say, I can't afford 3.5 hours on a Sunday to watch this.
Right.
Or 7 hours to watch 2 games. So, you know.
New Orleans people might say that.
Well, the New Orleans people at the moment
Yeah.
want a 4-hour game.
Right.
Because they want more reviewable plays, and who wouldn't? But in their position, I just feel that
They're not going to change.
And-
The NFL, as my question was, do you think the NFL will change it?
No.
I
No.
don't think they will. I think they will make maybe end of the 2-minute thing like they did
Yeah.
a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
See,
More reviewable from
I'm okay with
the home office.
fourth quarter, last 5 minutes. You can have every game reviewable. Don't add any more challenges.
Yeah, no challenges.
You're
No.
pretty much kind of keeping it the same. Because
the
see,
alternative, what they have to do is make things quicker. At the moment, when someone reviews, it seems to take forever
yeah,
to get a decision.
right.
2,
I read
3
an
minutes.
article that some of that is commercial time. I have.
Yeah.
I have read an article where they have said that a
They've
lot
got
of
the
that
decision.
reviewable time adds one more 30-second commercial that can be billed and charged.
Yeah. Well,
And one more for every challenge
It's a lot of
in
money.
every game
right.
Huge.
in every week. That's
that
a
adds up.
significant. And then add that to the playoff where it quadruples in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then goes times 12. So commercials go times 12 in the Super Bowl. That's
Insane
significant amount of money.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe they will. You don't know. I don't think they'll add coaching challenges, but I think that and we'll talk about NFC, but I think that particular play, I think it might change the dynamic, or
See-
at least the conversation.
I think there'll be a conversation, but what challenges? What
Look,
plays are you gonna make a challenge?
I think they will change the overtime rule. I think the
yeah.
competition committee will change the overtime rule.
Right.
I think it will change because of that game.
Yeah.
Bill Belichick has been talking about a couple of things in every coaches meeting, between the seasons. And he's always advocated for every play being reviewable, and also the whole overtime thing as well.
Can you imagine if New England had lost the way that Kansas lost?
Yeah.
The reaction from New England.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, Brady did not get a chance to touch the ball
Exactly.
Yeah.
because my guy called tails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
just doesn't
can't.
make
You just
sense.
can't do
It's
it
just
on
not fair.
a flip.
It's not fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
And that particular game, maybe the overtime rule. I'm sorry, maybe the playoff rules are different. I don't know, but you've got the two best quarterbacks of the year playing maybe in the last 4 games that they are playing their best.
Yeah.
And it comes down to a heads or tails of the coin.
And as a fan, you want to see that. Can Mahomes respond? Because
I want to,
Yeah.
during regulation, Mahomes had to make a drive
and he did,
throughout the whole field to bring his team back and push it and he did that.
and he did.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
And Mahomes did it to score.
Yeah.
Brady did it to score. Mahomes did it to score to overtime.
You just want to see that
You wanna
duel
see it
carry
again.
on, right? Yeah. And that's the thing. So we've got that rule coming up from the AFC Championship game. The NFC Championship game, obviously the no call on
Wow.
the pass interference, helmet to helmet, unnecessary roughness. There was a bunch of things that could have been called for. However, I understand. If I was a Saints fan right now, I wouldn't be talking like this because I'd be furious and it cost us a trip to the Super Bowl and all of that. But if you kind of like take a step back, we don't even have to go to the first quarter or the second quarter because nobody cares about missed calls in those. People forget about them.
Coaches do.
In the fourth quarter, maybe coaches do, not fans.
Some coaches.
Yeah. But in the fourth quarter, the drive before that, there was an obvious face mask that would have given the Rams the ball at the 1 yard line or the 3 yard line. It's game over there.
Yeah.
So it's more of like a recency bias that everybody has. Just because this play was so flagrant, it was so obvious.
But the face mask was pretty clear.
It was clear. It was clear.
Well, was it the middle of the third quarter when New Orleans was fixing the score, and the play, I don't like the 7 or the 8, and the play clock had been 0-0 for almost 2.2 seconds against the Saints, and it wasn't called.
Yeah.
Right? And they ended up scoring the touchdown to get it to a score game.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
So
it's just the same.
So here's the thing. So
they blew it.
Tomorrow's media day, and Roger Goodell is going to be, addressing this issue for the first time. Probably our episode will come up a day after that. What would you say if you're Roger Goodell when the question is asked tomorrow? What should the NFL do about it?
They've got to look at the whole officiating thing. Everything to do with officiating.
There's been a lot of bad officiating this year.
And it's gone on for 2, 3, 4 years, and they need to address it properly. The fact they haven't got professional refereing is incredible.
think that's the next step.
Yeah.
I think you will have full-time professional referees.
So
I do.
Yeah, you have to. You really have to.
Yeah.
So you've got 20 crews or whatever you're going to need.
Whatever you decide,
And
right?
Yeah.
So the
exactly.
NHL has them.
Yeah.
Hockey League has them.
Yeah.
Well, why not?
Yeah.
They can't blame lack of money.
The thing is,
No.
no, but I'm thinking maybe one of the reasons is that, the NFL really goes on for, 20 weeks a year. Why do they have to keep paying them for the
And
rest
then
of
you
that
do
time?
another 20 weeks of training.
Yeah.
My God, just because of the last 4 games.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do 20 weeks of training and on-the-job training and
Right.
spring football games.
But it's the kind of game where it's susceptible to bad calls because it's just the fine lines, holds that are, you hold on to a player for a bit too long.
There's a difference between bad calls
Yeah.
and the quantity of bad calls.
Yeah.
Okay? If you're full-time and that's your job, and as a person who runs a school, I'm going to have bad calls. I'm going to have mistakes. But as my full-time job,
Right.
I'm going to have much less as if I'm doing consulting in a school.
Right.
And I don't know the vibe, and I don't know the opportunities, and I haven't practiced it,
Yeah.
right? It's the same with coaching. If you're a part-time coach. My daughter coaches part-time volleyball coach.
Right.
She has her kids a couple nights a week. She's going to miss a few things. She's not going to see that they're struggling with a particular set,
Right.
right? It's the same with refereeing. If you're going to go be a lawyer for 3 or 4 days, and then you're going to catch a plane, and then everybody finally gets together at the old Hilton in wherever city, Minneapolis,
Right.
and then you have one chance to look at a little game film, and then you ref the next day.
But I don't think the rule changes have helped them either. Like, I remember in the Kansas City game, there was a roughing the passer call on Tom Brady where
It wasn't.
he literally just tapped him on the chest after he'd passed the ball. And,
I think
especially roughing the passer this year has been ridiculous.
Yeah,
Some
but
of
also
the
pass interference from cornerbacks has been.
Yeah.
Who would want to be a cornerback? If you were in college now, would you want to say, I want to be...
you can't do anything. You can't
go near anyone.
Oh, maybe money.
Okay, that's the only reason.
Yeah.
But in terms of game, you're going to be the most frustrated person on the team, in my view.
Yeah.
Because any time you get close to a wide receiver, you're going to get called.
Do you think
That's how it feels.
Revis Island would have been possible if the rules were the same today?
No.
Shut down corners. I don't think we're going
So
to
at
be...
the end of the day, do you think that pass interference penalty
Yeah.
changed the game or lack of the call?
If you take it in isolation, obviously it did because it would have given New Orleans the ball at a... I mean, if you look statistically and how they performed in the red zone this year, they would have scored the touchdown. It would have been game over there in the Super Bowl.
Or at least run the clock out because he was inbounds.
Yeah. But then if you look at the game as a whole, there were missed refereeing calls for both sides.
Yeah.
There was one on the previous drive. There were questionable coaching decisions as well.
Oh, my God, on both sides.
Yeah.
On both sides.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, there was the New Orleans Saints coach. Sean Payton. He decided to throw the ball in first and second down instead of running down the clock, and just gave them way too much time to come back. So there's a lot of things that you can point out. If it was only that call, and that was the only difference between the Saints going to the Super Bowl or not, yes, it deserves all the outrage. But I don't think...
And that's why I don't think they'll change it.
Yeah, they should.
That reason right there.
Maybe I would say just to make sure that, because once New England made it to the Super Bowl, by the way, the ratings or the expected ratings have gone down a lot because people are just bored of New England being there. Had, Kansas City made it would have been great. If it was even Breeze versus Brady, you've got the two legends, head to head.
This is kind of the worst matchup for the NFL.
If you look at the two championship games, for the NFL, ratings-wise, this is probably the worst matchup they could have. For us fans, it's amazing because, we want to see how...
we got the old against the new and all that kind of stuff.
And it's only the worst... it's a relative thing compared to the other matchups, but all of them are really great games if you think about it. But it's just... Yeah, all of these things taken into consideration, I think the NFL will probably make a change to say, all right, maybe in the last 5 minutes of the fourth or in the fourth quarter, you can challenge any play. You don't get any extra challenges. And you'll have a lot of coaches burning challenges.
That's going to change the game.
Or save
the whole second half.
Sean Payton, during the year, I think it was in the regular season, used up 2 challenges in the first quarter on like a 3rd and 5 play. And it just didn't make sense. So you're going to have coaches burn those, challenges anyhow. But you don't want them... I think just the outrage that's been caused by this non-call.
But then we're going to go back to the 4-hour game.
Yeah.
If you make every play challengeable, you can't.
Yeah, and I don't think they will. I think he's probably right. It's probably in the last 5 minutes or the 4-minute drill, as we say.
Yeah.
Or maybe even the 2 minutes of each half.
Maybe 2 minutes.
Sorry, I meant the last 4 minutes of the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
If you have every play is challengeable, you could still be looking at a 45-minute, 50-minute.
Yeah, but you're going to eventually run out of challenges, especially if you don't have any going into that.
Or if you use them up, right?
But then,
you have to. It has to come back and be fair.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm going to tell you straight up, that play was not fair to the Saints.
Yeah.
Neither was the face mask.
No.
Neither was the too much time on the clock. And none of them were in the last 2 minutes except the pass interference.
But the NFL have been very good at admitting when they're wrong, right?
Not this time. They just kept their mouth shut.
Well, Goodell's speaking tomorrow.
Sean Payton came out of the game before he even went to the press conference and called them and told them about it.
Since then, who have you heard from? Benjamin Watson.
No, Goodell can speak tomorrow.
Yeah, but since then,
nothing.
Benjamin Watson called him out.
Yeah,
said,
he did.
Where are you?
Yeah.
Can't hear you.
Yeah.
There was a petition for 250,000 people asking for the game to be replayed.
Yeah. The last quarter or something, wasn't it?
From that play.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1st and 10 from
Terrell
32.
Owens was saying that should be the case.
Oh, then it must happen.
Yeah, if T.O. says it, yeah.
If Tony Romo says it, okay, but Terrell Owens, no.
He's a Hall of Famer now. It matters.
I'm glad the other podcast person's not here at the moment.
Yeah.
For many reasons.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, I can't hear any Philadelphia Eagles talk again.
No.
Yeah.
He's going to get paid, but that'll be another episode.
Yeah.
Foles is going to get paid.
Yeah.
Where's he going to end up?
Washington.
I don't know.
Jacksonville.
I think it's between the two for me.
Jacksonville.
I'm going to say Washington.
I'm going to say Tannehill in Washington.
Then the Redskins fans, we know someone who's a big Redskins fan. He is going to be livid. If Tannehill ends up in Washington, he's going to be livid.
But if he ends up in Washington, that's Dan Schneider basically saying that we're going to be average or below average.
Cheaper.
For the foreseeable future.
Cheaper.
And I don't think the fans, they've received so much negative publicity with the name and all of that kind of, they're just sick of losing.
Look at their attendances this year.
Especially the fact that they had Alex Smith and they looked like they were going to win the East, and then that injury happened. I think his contract is guaranteed for another year.
Guys, with all due respect, they're still the 13th most profitable in the NFL.
Yeah.
The Redskins are the 13th most profitable franchise. I don't care what happens.
But at one point, the fans will, their voice will get louder and louder. In soccer, we had the same situation with Manchester United, one of the most profitable teams in the world. They were not performing. Their coach, to let him go, they had to pay him $25 million.
But
And it
so
didn't-
fire the coach. They're not going to fire the owner.
It didn't make business sense.
He bought a
right?
$120 million yacht last week.
Yeah.
They're not going to fire the owner.
The owner is not going to get fired, but the owner will have to make decisions to appease the fans at some
No, but
point.
the fans are still queuing up for season tickets. And what's going on is that people are still buying season tickets,
Yeah.
just not going to the games.
So look,
They're not going to the game,
Yeah.
but the season tickets are being sold
so
out.
Absolutely.
fair enough. You say
They're still getting the money.
You know
That's-
what Mark says? I'm not going to buy. I'm not renewing my season tickets. I'm not going to do it. And Snyder, whomever, comes out and says, "Fine, we're going to discount it 25%." He buys his tickets
Yeah.
and still not going.
because
And still not
and he
go.
doesn't go. But at the end of the day, he's still a Redskins guy.
Yeah.
You know what the problem is? It's because they're in the NFC East, right? The rivalries, the history. So when you have, Redskins versus Cowboys versus Eagles, you're gonna go.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you'll go.
Versus Atlanta, Carolina.
Who goes to those games?
well.
Who's interested?
Oh wait, oh yeah, the Super Bowl's in
I'm only wearing the jersey because everything else is in the laundry.
Speaking of the Super Bowl. Speaking
I'm
of the
sleeping
Super
in
Bowl.
this today.
Super Bowl time.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
let's do it. What are your expectations?
28-24.
That's what Tony
No,
Romo said.
I think it's going to be hugely high scoring. I think it's
Yeah.
the fake Mexico City game.
It's a shootout.
I do.
Both teams will get over 30.
I think both teams might get over 40.
I'm telling you,
No kidding.
New
Wow.
England have averaged 34 points and 471 yards in every playoff game, including Super Bowls in the last 3 years. And the Rams are also. The Rams. It will come down on whether they're able to adjust to Bill Belichick's.
It
kind
comes down to the defensive coordinator for the Rams
Yeah.
and the defensive coordinator for the Patriots.
Yeah.
Is
and
it going
who
to
can get their guys to perform the best.
But see, this is the thing with the Rams. They've got a lot of stars, kind of A-listers, and they've got kind of a lot of C.
And mouthers, they got a guy that likes to talk a lot.
Yeah, so exactly, and dysfunction people with like outcasts, like Ndamukong Suh, problem makers.
But then you got Donald. He's an A-lister.
Yeah, so you've got A-listers and you've got kind of some players that are not that great. So if we look at defense, you've got Donald and you've got Ndamukong Suh, and you've got the two corners, which is perfect for Wade Phillips because when he was back in Denver,
He
had
took
this-
a bunch of nobodies and played some ball.
He had
Big
Aqib
time.
Talib, so he had two good corners with Chris Harris and
Yep.
Aqib Talib, and he had
Wait, Aqib
Von
Talib.
Miller.
I know that name.
Yeah,
whatever happened to him?
and then you've got Von Miller as well, who was his star linebacker as well. So you've got or pass rusher. So you've got the stars there. New England, on the other hand, have a lot of just kind of B-rated guys that do their job
But my
so well.
God, they play team so
So what do
good.
you prefer? To have a team with a few stars and a few kind of below average guys, or just a bunch of average guys that
the
perform
New
to their
England
best?
way is to have a bunch of nobodies, if you like.
Yeah.
But they're all told, this is your job.
Right.
Don't you worry about anything else. Just do this.
How many Super Bowls now?
4 out of 5.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah,
this
that's
is,
what I was
this
thinking.
is Brady's 9th.
Okay, and how many for Brady? 9th?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
He's won 5.
I know where my money's at.
Exactly.
My money's at.
How can you actually bet against New England?
So
I
I'll
don't.
here's an interesting thing. When
saying they're gonna win.
when the bets opened in Vegas, the Rams were the favorite.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah, 1.5 though.
the public money came in, and 83% of the bets placed were on the Patriots, and they had to shift the line. Because how can you not take the Patriots?
Yeah.
I'm not a betting guy, but every time I've kind of hypothetically bet against the Patriots, I've come out looking like an idiot because like with the Chargers, with Kansas City, no way he's making the Super Bowl this year. I mean, that's it. It's over.
Oh, they've got too many injuries. They got this, they got that, but they always get there.
They get there. It's
Incredible.
unbelievable. So I'm not going to bet against the Patriots until Tom Brady is gone, or at least we see some major decline or something, because it's ridiculous.
I think they'll win the game. I do.
I can't see past them. I just can't. So
I
yeah,
think they'll win
I'm
the
with
game,
you.
and I think it'll be high scoring, but more similar to the fourth quarter stuff.
Yeah.
I think there'll be very good defensive football in the first half, as a few of the other games.
Will it come down to one play?
Nope,
No.
no, not this one.
Last one did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know, Brady was sacked. wasn't
No,
he?
because see,
Philadelphia.
the Rams, in any game where it's a shootout, where both teams have scored more than 30 points, they're 5-1.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're actually, when we're talking about a team that's kind of ready for shootouts, the Rams.
I don't see a shootout.
You don't?
No, I just think Wade Phillips is a good, chess player, but I think Belichick is just a little bit better, maybe even a lot better.
Especially when the pressure's really on.
And let's not forget how many years has golf been in the league.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's don't underestimate that.
Tom Brady has Super Bowl experience.
And let's don't underestimate the amount of playoff experience of each team.
Yeah.
And this isn't playoffs.
This is the game.
How stupid do you think Robbie Coleman's kind of media day statement?
Dumb.
Where he called out, what did he say? Tom Brady is not the same quarterback he's been. His age is showing.
Yeah.
I looked for that interview to see if the comments were taken out of context, and I found it, and they weren't.
They weren't. But
it was straight up, he said it.
What's more ridiculous than that is clearly he got a call from the ownership, like, you idiot, you don't need to motivate Tom Brady. I mean, you look at his demeanor so far and the media calls, he's relaxed, he's enjoying the moment, he's reflecting on his life. What you want to do to Tom Brady in this case is just heap praise over him. Maybe, just maybe, he'll come in a bit overconfident. Unlikely. But if you want to play a mind game,
he's not the guy.
No.
You have a snowball's chance in hell if you just keep praising him and saying that he's the greatest of all time. So clearly, Robbie Coleman got a call from the ownership of the Rams, and then he came back and retracted those.
And maybe
statements.
every teammate.
Yeah.
But he did it in such a bad way as well, where he said...
He can't come back.
He said, oh, no, what I was trying to say was taken out of context. He is still the greatest. We respect him. He's still at his best. And
what did he say? He's not the same because he's better, I think is what his comment was.
You just...
It's laughable. Really.
Yeah, I mean,
just
you're
dumb.
trying to say the exact opposite of what you...
Exactly.
All right, you said it. Either double down or shut up. Like that's the situation, right?
I think the only thing he could have said was, I apologise, Tom Brady, because... obviously, you are the greatest player ever.
Yeah.
And really just suck up a little bit to
Right.
him and just say, I was out of order. I was
Do
wrong.
you think, because I read a little bit about some of the Gronk play, the Gronk play that got the first down
Right.
was not in the original game plan,
Right.
to go on and in to score.
The one that the Romo called?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't in the original game plan.
Tony Houdini.
Do you not think that there's some not in original game plan stuff now
Right.
against him? Some little off the cuff.
Yeah.
We're going to expose him.
Tom Brady, if he
First
really
10
wanted to, can just target him all night long and expose him.
Yeah.
If anyone's capable of doing it, it's
Exactly.
Tom Brady.
Oh, imagine the opportunities that you could do because of the way the shifts work, especially in their 5 wides.
Yeah.
You can do some shift work and get Gronk on him one-on-one or Edelman on him one-on-one on the inside.
Yeah.
He'll be embarrassed on national TV.
Here's the thing.
And Romo will call it.
And
Yeah.
he was
Tony
the one who did
Romo.
Tony.
He was the one who did the foul in New Orleans.
That's right.
I mean...
So, he's kind of been centre of attention in many ways.
And you admitted that you were beat on that play and you're just trying to prevent a touchdown.
Exactly. Just shut up.
I'm looking for the flag, and the ref went, it was tipped.
Yeah.
How effective do you think Edelman is going to be in this? Because I think there was a list that came out, I don't know if it was by ESPN, who are going to be the top 20 players in the Super Bowl. And Edelman is way down in like 9th or 10th. And I thought that was... Here's an interesting stat about Julian Edelman. He's got, behind only Jerry Rice, he's got the most catches in
the playoffs
in NFL history.
I read that.
Staggering.
He's I think about maybe still 50 catches away from Jerry Rice, but he is second in the all-time list.
Did you read what Rice said about him?
No.
He said the F word, but the boy effing balls. He plays.
Yeah.
Every team would want him.
Every time you strap it up, he plays.
Yeah.
And the chemistry between him and Brady, I mean, you saw the Tom versus Time documentary.
Yeah.
They
Where he goes to Montana and spends 5 weeks with the guy playing catch.
The whole offseason, they're together. They've got the same masseuse.
Did you see the video, the touchline video, where Edelman's going up to Brady shouting in his face,
You're too old.
You're too old. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic.
I mean,
They've got a relationship that's...
But see, New England tried to do that whole bet against us, hashtag.
It worked.
They did. They
Still
did.
now.
No, it didn't work. I think people kind of
It
eventually
did
said,
too.
"Oh, please, you guys in the."
I don't know. Maybe it worked in that locker room.
No. Tom Brady just changed it recently when he released a I think it was like a hype video that he released for the Super Bowl, and he changed it to "We're still here."
Yeah, but maybe it worked in that locker room.
Maybe to motivate him, but I don't think it's
that's all
going
they care
into
about.
it. Yeah,
Honestly, the only thing Belichick and the organisation care about is what goes on in that locker room.
right.
And everything that's done outside is for the benefit of that locker room.
Yeah,
If they're criticising the team, it's to motivate them.
right.
If they're building up the other team, it's to motivate their locker
It's
room.
funny
That's all
how
they care about.
funny how things disappear. Even the negative stuff disappear over time. At the beginning of the season, there was like a Belichick versus Brady.
I'm telling
feud.
you, in the summer, we were talking about that feud.
You said that it was a fake one.
Yeah, I told you.
Yeah, you
And we're
called
talking
it.
about the guy who can't be allowed in the building because he's allowing avocado ice cream, and none of that's true.
There was even a rumor that Belichick tried to trade Brady, get rid of him.
No.
Not going to happen.
And then
No.
Kraft stepped in and traded Garoppolo because of that. I mean, all of that is gone. See, by the Super Bowl, you've got nothing on them. No gossip.
Maroon 5 has more gossip than the Patriots.
On that note.
And I read that.
Do you know who has more gossip than Maroon 5? The Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh.
Well, that's a big subject for after the Super Bowl.
So, in terms of biggest disappointments of the season, who do you think?
Jacksonville.
Oh, really? And I didn't expect. I called the first to last kind of on Jacksonville.
No offense to you. I have to say Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I really
for
thought
me.
they would be a contender
Well, they
because
were
they
6-2.
they had a lot of people healthy. Yeah, they had played 6 or 7 games in a row with the same offensive line.
Yeah.
Cam was rolling.
But then here they came up now. Cam has just had surgery, and they said that it wasn't as bad as they thought it was, and that he should be back
Everybody's optimistic.
by OTAs. Everybody is optimistic, and this kind of upsets me because I'd rather hear that the surgery, it was a bad injury. He'll be away for a while, but then he'll come back 100%.
Yeah, those are disappointments.
This kind of middle ground kind of thing, I just don't like
but
it.
set low expectations in January.
Yeah.
Who exceeded expectations?
Bears.
Oh, the Bears for sure.
Yeah?
I think that's on the number one.
I know
like
some
number one
of the
list.
Bears fans that I chat with and things. Yeah, they called it, but I think that most of us would have settled for 7-9, 8-8 after the last 5 years of mediocrity. If you'd given me 7-9 in September the 1st, I would have taken it.
So I read that they had the least amount of roster turnover from last year to this year.
Yeah,
So can you put that on coaching?
absolutely.
How about losing your defensive coordinator now? Is that something that's gonna, or do you think there'll be continuity?
Well,
And a couple of their position coaches on defense too, yeah?
Yeah,
He took a couple.
Yeah, but they've
they hired the
some good-
guy.
They've got Chuck Pagano, and he did a press conference a week ago, last Thursday.
He said
And-
nothing's going to change.
Exactly. He only sees them getting better.
Yeah.
So the personnel are largely going to stay the same. The only person who they could lose is a safety called Amos.
Yes.
Right.
Amos is going to go.
Callahan. So,
They may match him,
Yeah, but
but they have a high enough draft pick, and there's a couple of safeties
No.
coming out that they could pop him.
no, we've
No, I'm talking
picks
about-
first and 2.
No, I'm saying that in the top 3 rounds, there are 4 safeties
Okay,
that coming out that could be legitimate
fits.
Yeah.
or decent.
Yeah.
I don't want to say decent, legitimate.
Right.
That could fix it. And there are a couple of mid-range free agents that could come out that would be less than what they could pay him.
Yeah, they're not going to.
And he wants to go to the West Coast anyway.
Yeah, I think he's gone.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily happy about that, but I think he's gone. But one player out of 11, is it going to make that much difference?
Right.
Unless you're Khalil Mack,
Or
probably not.
Yeah, probably.
You know, so I'd like to keep him simply for continuity,
Yeah. Yeah.
more than ability.
Yeah, but you never have that in the NFL.
Exactly. That's
You
me
just
being
don't.
an emotional fan. These guys are hardened pros.
You just don't have it.
Here's
They
a
know what to
question:
do.
when it comes to quarterbacks, I'm sure you're happy with Mitch Trubisky and the progress that he's made.
Yeah.
He makes most of his plays from the pocket. He's becoming or getting better at being a prototypical quarterback. When you compare him to someone like, for example, Patrick Mahomes, who does a lot of like flashy plays, no look, a lot of running outside the pocket. If you were to pick one of those 2 quarterbacks for the next 10 years, who would you go for?
I'm even going to bring Deshaun Watson into that because last week at the Pro Bowl you had Deshaun Watson, Trubisky, and Mahomes playing.
Yeah.
Each were drafted 2017. I'm still more than comfortable that we've got Trubisky out of all 3 of them. I think in terms of longevity, in terms of what he's going to add to the franchise over the next 10 years or so,
Right.
I'm happy with him. Really comfortable.
Quarterbacks stay more healthy in that pocket opportunity.
Yeah.
I'll pick Kyler Murray.
Yeah, well, he's coming out.
Is he going to be?
Yep.
You think he's going to be better than all of them?
Yep. And maybe, he'll be that RG3 who has more of an understanding of the game.
Right.
RG3 was an unbelievable athletic prospect who was very well coached by the Shanahans.
Yeah.
And then just didn't understand the game. Kyler Murray understands the game with the same amount of opportunity.
Wow.
Now, it depends on where he goes. If he goes to Oakland, then my answer is no. You know, but if he ends up
going to the quarterback whisperer, right?
Yeah. If he ends up maybe in where did I read he might go? I have to think about that a minute.
Jacksonville?
No. Who already have a quarterback.
But anyway, apart from while you're thinking
I'll
about
think
that,
about it.
you were saying about other disappointments, who exceeded expectations. Who else exceeded expectations apart from the Bears?
The Cowboys.
I think so.
But the Cowboys, it was all fun and games.
How about Washington with all the injuries?
Yeah, I
They
think
did
could
a
pop
great
that.
job. Great job.
How about Indianapolis?
No, but see, Indianapolis, it was always a question of whether we're getting back the elite Andrew Luck or the post-injury still trying to get back into it, Andrew Luck. Pretty early on, we saw that we're getting the elite Andrew Luck, and we expected them to do as well as they
Comeback
did. Right?
player of the year.
Yeah, he's definitely comeback player of the year.
I think Tampa laid an egg. Atlanta laid an egg.
Yeah, for
very,
sure.
very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see Arians will get. Tampa has a significant amount of talent and a significant amount of young talent.
As a Panthers fan, I'm not happy seeing Arians in my division.
A lot of young talent in the last two drafts that just weren't utilized.
But then it comes back to Winston. How good is he going to be with Bruce Arians?
I just think he will fold under the pressure of Bruce Arians.
And Bruce Arians would get rid of him.
He will whip his bootay.
He's not a no-nonsense guy.
He will whip it. And that's the reason, Carson Palmer thrived under him.
Right.
And the two young guys didn't.
It's funny how he got sent to do a medical at the hospital before they gave him the job. They needed to make sure that he's up to it. He's up to it. And there was another one who didn't make it. Another coach, Kubiak.
Oh, yeah, in Denver.
And they couldn't hire him.
They couldn't hire him because they actually asked him to go do a medical.
And he said, no, I can't do it. And now he's a
the medical results
consultant in Minnesota.
Yeah,
and his son's on staff or something.
Yeah, it's very weird.
Yeah. Denver will be, and this will be maybe another episode, but Denver will be all right.
Yeah.
They've got a good guy on defense, that's for sure. Fangio is a... Yeah.
I think and you can say what you want, but he was one of the stabilizers. He was the calming sometimes. Yeah. When their offense might get a little bit rolling, and that defense had to stand up, it wasn't excited. It wasn't. It was business as usual.
Oh yeah.
It was very. We got this. Yeah. Don't worry, everybody. Calm down. And he'll bring that to Denver, and I think that cost them 5 or 6 of their last 8 or 9 games.
Yep.
Of not being stabilized and calm and going back to what we practice.
Right.
So anyway.
Well, Fangio's been a coach for 32 years. He's been there, seen it, done it. He's
Super Bowl.
Sean McVay is 33.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness.
Unbelievable.
Exactly.
All right. So I think with that we'll probably kind of wrap it up. Do you know what the spread is for the Super Bowl right
3.5.
now? 3.5 to
New England.
To New England. Oh, it's gone to New England now. It's kind of moved.
It's anywhere. I've seen it anywhere from 1.5 to 1, and now it's up. Sorry, 2.5, not 3.5.
Yeah.
Now it's up 2.5. Over under 57.
Was it? I'd go over that.
57. No, I haven't seen it in the last week.
All right, give me a score. Expectations.
Truthfully, both score over 40.
Over 40.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think it will.
Wow.
Both score over 40. Because I think, as you said, one or two guys doesn't make a huge amount of difference. And I do think that they'll rattle Goff as they did Mahomes. And then I think McVay will figure it out in the fourth quarter, and coaching will come out, and they'll score 2, 3, 4 times in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
I'll go 45, 40. Nah, maybe not both over 40. I'll go 45. I'll go 45, 35.
10 points
Yeah.
to New England.
Yep.
Wow.
Toward the end, New England will score to put it out of reach.
Wow. Okay.
I've got an 8-point spread.
And that's where my money's at.
I think okay. So I've gone 33-25 New England.
Yeah.
Okay. I've got 38-34 New England.
Last
And now what's going to happen is 21-10 LA.
9-3. Exactly. Field goals only.
Yeah, one touchdown and a safety.
I promise you it will not be that.
Yeah.
We'll be looking forward to the halftime Super Bowl show. You know.
Oh, go Maroon 5. And they're not going to make a statement about Kaepernick.
Thank goodness.
Oh, thank
There's
God.
no questions.
We don't want that. We
No,
don't
not at all.
Yeah, we're done with that. All right, excellent. Thanks, guys. Don't forget to subscribe or listen to us on your podcast app, Facebook, and YouTube. We'll get back here maybe and have a postseason roundup, talk about the Super Bowl expectations for next year. But thanks, guys. Thanks for coming.
Enjoyed it very much.
Thanks,
Welcome back, bud.
Thanks for coming
see
all
you.
the way from Canada to be with us.
Absolute joy.
All right, excellent. See you guys. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.